Hey everybody, Brandie Posey here, the host of Burn This Podcast and founder of Burn This Records. I have an episode for you today that's a little bit different than usual. We are breaking format because the world is breaking format. You know what I mean? It's bad out there. So I decided to have on previous guest and label mate, Kristin Lytie, amazing comedian out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, but also more important to this conversation, union organizer. Kristin just spent some time in the Twin Cities learning from people on the ground, lessons to bring back to her union and then to share with others about the organizing happening there against ICE, who is invading cities all over the country right now. I live in Los Angeles. This is something that we are working with here, and I'm really happy that Kristin was able to come back on and be able to share with you guys some of the things that she saw and learned there and ways to tap in to be able to help out in your communities. Yeah, I just thought this might be a good thing to share with everybody. And if you are helping out your communities, shoot us a message and let us know, man. I love the comics and the community we built here, and I love to hear from you guys. And let me know. Anyway, enjoy my conversation with Kristin, and fuck ICE.
We don't need no water, let the motherfucker burn.
This podcast. Hey, Kristin, it's good to see you. For the listener, I just want to say right now, Kristin, Disassociation Vacation album came out 2 years ago. Go buy it. It's on iTunes. It's on all the things. Go buy it. We're not going to talk about that as much today, but I do just want to proudly state that you are a Burn This Record first year release, and I've known you for longer than that, and you've always been an amazing organizer, and you just got back from Minneapolis, which, to put in context for people who are listening to this in the future, if we still have technology, is currently under siege with ICE. And yeah, you were just out there, and I just wanted to talk with you and use this platform to kind of share what you saw there and any learnings that you want to share with people, because this is happening all over the country.
Absolutely. And that's what really drew me to going there in the first place. You know, besides the fact that I have so many people I love in Minneapolis, and just felt really compelled to be a part of that action to defend Minneapolis and the Twin Cities as a whole.
Yep.
In my day job, I work for an educators union. We represent teachers, paras, bus drivers, cooks, all the good stuff that makes schools run. And seeing what was happening in the Twin Cities and the community response is what really blew me away. And I knew I wanted to go be a part of it for a few days and try to figure out what is the model, what is the structure, what are communities doing in response to such aggressive, violent tactics from a government agency that's only existed 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
So we are in a very pivotal moment of history in how we push back on this administration, and particularly this agency. So yeah, I was working with the St. Paul Federation of Educators for a few days and just learned a lot about how teachers, parents, and community are coming together and keeping students safe. And, educators are really the stewards of their communities. And if there's one thing COVID showed me, is that schools are one of the last remaining social safety nets. So how do we protect that? And what I saw was basically all organized under the theory that a visible presence will deter ICE from interacting at higher levels. So when we got patrols out, right, watching ICE, surveilling their behavior, you've probably seen the community response with the whistles. Yeah. Whistles are available everywhere. And then we also have parents volunteering to stand outside schools and make sure that children aren't being interrogated or taken by ICE. I mean, we all saw the child from Columbia Heights. There were also 4 other children kidnapped, basically, from Columbia Heights, which is a neighborhood in the northeast of Minneapolis. And the parent patrols are so important because, when people are alone, they're so vulnerable. But when there's another set of eyes there to watch, we believe that will really deter ICE from interacting. And we had multiple instances of ICE trying to get into schools, which, not to go too deep into the woods, but much like your right to join a union, Your
Hmm.
right to a fair and appropriate public education is federally protected no matter what your immigration status is.
Yeah.
So to say they need to go into schools to get the worst of the worst is just ridiculous. It's a lie.
And then it's a 5-year-old in like a hat with like a Spider-Man backpack. That's the worst of the worst, you know? It's like what
Yeah,
what are we fucking
it's
talking about here?
intimidation,
Yeah.
absolute intimidation. So there are very high safety protocols at a lot of the schools I went to. And even here in Wisconsin, where we haven't had as huge of an ICE presence, educators follow the same protocols that if ICE is to approach a building, they are directed to the principal and they are not to be roaming classrooms.
Yeah.
Everyone's priority is student safety. But I think the organizing I saw fell into two main subjects. And, one is the mutual aid, and then the other is surveillance patrolling. And both have been extremely effective. I think it's important too to have all these different opportunities for people because people will make a different commitment based on their own vulnerability and their own abilities.
Hmm.
So, folks who can't be out there on the front lines and possibly interact with ICE, they're organizing food banks, mutual aid fund collection to help people pay rent. They're doing laundry for their neighbors. They are securing DOPA clinics, which is the delegation of parental authority. So if we have vulnerable folks who are worried about being separated from their children, they can have a union supplied notary help them through that process to secure the guardianship paperwork for someone else in their immediate family to take care of their child.
That makes sense. I wouldn't even have necessarily thought about that part of it, but that is so important, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. How many of these kids are just like coming home to empty houses and then what happens, these systems aren't nimble enough to just, handle this. I mean,
absolutely.
you're creating the systems that are. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like that mechanism is so important because we have a lot of people that are interested and want to come in for trainings.
Hmm.
And the key point there is, well, you've had the training, now what? And that's where union and community really stepped up and started delegating people by zone and by area, so like people get to know their neighbors better.
Hmm.
We have better functioning teams and better functioning communications. And as an organizer, it's just my hat's off to the Twin Cities because keeping people involved and keeping the momentum, that's the best organizing you can do.
No, absolutely. It's so interesting because it always every time I go to an event or anything, the emphasis on like getting to know your neighbors is always front and center. And I think this is such a clear case of like we aren't bullshitting when we say that. You do need to know the people around you, and it's just to know them, just to have community with them, but also just like when this kind of thing happens, it's most effective and it's most hyper local.
Absolutely. And that was kind of interesting about like some of the signal chats that got leaked and
Hmm.
right wing pundits were like,
Of
oh my
course.
God, this has to be state funded, you know. And part of it is I think it's a little fear mongering, like,
Yeah,
deep
yeah, yeah.
state. But
Hmm.
because Moms for Liberty knows how to organize, when they first came on the scene, I was like, wait a minute, they're doing what we do.
No, exactly. It was like someone's using the tactics for bad.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think the level of connectedness really did surprise them. And I think
Mhm.
that maybe stems from the idea of like, how could you care for your neighbor that deeply? Like,
Yeah. No, exactly. I'm just like, yeah, no. Hey, go to the potlucks.
yeah,
It's nice to meet people sometimes. It's good.
it really is. And, I think as humans, we have this inclination to isolate ourselves, especially when things are bad. But,
Hmm.
when you are facing a challenge, that's the best time to connect with other people experiencing the same thing because that's how we solve problems.
Well, and I think it's not lost on me, and I'm sure other people that have gone through similar things and different disasters, but like the muscle memory of what happened with the fires here in LA, or like especially like at certain points in COVID where it was like we were all had to like work together as this community and acknowledge each other. Like that is what this organizing is. It's just now it has a different use, but like It's the same coming together for a common cause. And I think ultimately also gives people like a meaning sometimes in a way that our normal lives that are so compartmentalized from each other can feel very empty.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's also a question of redefining morality, I've
Hmm.
found, because so many people are quick to say, like, well, ICE is going after criminals. And it's like, well, violation of overstaying your visa or something
Hmm.
like that is not really that,
Yeah.
it's not a violent crime whatsoever.
No.
And to say that you need military grade weapons to enforce that, it ultimately boils down to an issue of human rights. And,
Yeah.
much like FAPE, the federal law that protects public education and your right to join a union, it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. So, I mean,
Hmm.
that's where I stand morally.
Yeah.
But I found I was truly, because I always thought, like, we understand laws exist for a reason, but we all communally understand that if a
Hmm.
law like infringes on someone's human dignity, we will rewrite that law, right? Like, right, guys, come on. Like,
You would
and I'm
think
saying
so.
no. Yeah,
Well, and it's yeah, I mean, like how many laws have been made that, go against that? And it's like, yeah, just because it's technically legal doesn't mean it's slavery was legal at a certain point. So many internment camps were legal during World War II.
absolutely.
It doesn't you're just because something is a law doesn't necessarily mean it lines up with the human morality that we're dealing with. It's God, it's so interesting too, like just how it to me it very much reminds me of like the argument that pro-life people have where they're just like have the baby and you're like, okay, well, what are the resources you're going to put in place to make sure this forced child and its parents have like a life? And immigration is so similar to me because it's like you have to become a citizen. You're like, okay, well, can we streamline the process? Can we make it easier? Some of these people, they're grabbing people that are going to their court dates to continually check in that are in the process that can take 20 plus years to actually
Mhm.
become a citizen legally. And it's like, okay, well, if you are determined for people to do that, then why aren't you out there protesting and like trying to make that process easier? It's not actually about that at all.
Absolutely. And the fact that they're in schools, it's not about that
No,
at all.
not at all. You're terrorizing children. And you're and
Mhm.
and you're also not even just, from their perspective, you're not even just like terrorizing these immigrant refugee children. You're also terrorizing their classmates who have a little friend who like children don't know about immigration status. They don't know all this stuff. They're like, "Oh no, fucking my little buddy is gone now." Like that's what happened to them. Like you're also terrorizing all the citizen children.
Absolutely. And that's why, I don't understand how people can't see through it, that it's obviously
Yeah.
strategic. I mean, it's targeting large democratically run cities.
Yes. No, 100%. It is just a campaign of, revenge in so many ways is what it feels like. And it is like it's also dark, but it is also, I think, really beautiful to see the way the community has just decided to step up together and be like, no, actually, this is how we will resist. And it is like a more powerful force. I mean, you see all these bumbling guys out there. They're stressed out of their minds. It's great.
Yeah. And the power of this strike is,
Yes.
I've been in organized labor for approaching 18 years, I think. And when I first started, like, talking about a strike was just unheard of. And talking
Yeah.
with educators last week in the lead up to their first strike on the 23rd, no one batted an eye. They were like, yeah, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, and that kind of strength and resolve and knowing what you're doing is right. It just shines so brightly.
Absolutely. And I think it's so interesting that like the as the fascism has been ratcheted up over much time, like and over several administrations, but obviously Trump is like the one that is, really just mask off of all of it. The the way that they've continued to push people that I don't think would have considered that or been like, oh, too extreme. I'm like, you've pushed people into a corner with no choice. And people that would have just not even liked the idea of that before, thought that was too confrontational, they're very willing to strike now. And also I think about also these teachers and a lot of these students that have been trained to deal with shooters coming into their schools. They're already organized to defend these properties because of a failure of government to keep them safe. It's like certain things are still applicable here.
Absolutely. That was like the silver lining. I was like, well, at least we know what to do because of all of these trainings.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like it's just such a reminder that like the human spirit, 90% of people, it's like the human spirit is to band together and protect, and there is like a bravery in us, especially together.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I saw and continue to see with so many educators. Like they are there to protect their communities, protect their students, and they inspire me to keep going.
No, absolutely. I mean, like teachers, librarians, like these are some of the most radical people I know are librarians
Mm-hmm.
and always
Well,
have
it's so
been.
wild too to think about like what does radical mean?
Well,
Radical
yeah.
means we will protest you gassing a preschool. We will protest you murdering people in the street. Like the conversation has moved so far into
Yeah.
dystopia. I don't know how people can still support it. It blows my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
That's why I really appreciate about Twin Cities Media, because they are interviewing and showing people who, they look like our aunts and
Yeah.
uncles and like firmly middle class, white,
Hmm.
talking about, yeah, I saw my neighbor get pulled out into the street and, sharing these experiences that, I mean, there are always going to be some people so firmly rooted in their beliefs they can't see reality.
Hmm.
But I think it's showing middle America this could be you,
Yeah.
which previously there had been a protection in whiteness, right? That this would not be happening to middle class white people.
Yeah. No, exactly. And being like, no, it is actually it once you have actually aligned yourself away from whiteness, now you are also a target. And this is it's always been this way, but it's more, like I said, it's more out there and it's more ratcheted up than it ever has been before. And it's, I'd be so curious to know that like so many of, yeah, I've seen these amazing videos. There's a great video the other day of the older guy in the Twin Cities who's just like, geez, like out in the snow. He's got his accent is flawless, and but he's like out there just like a little bit lost, but like also just like fired up in a way that I'm like, oh man, he's gonna be talking about this forever. Like this is, this is a war that he's like participating in to protect his city. This is
Yeah,
not
he's actually
yeah.
the owner of Dreamhaven Books. If I'm talking
Really?
about the right person, he was just like,
Oh
I'm 70 years old and I'm
yes.
so mad.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that broke me. Like I try to be a radical leftist, but I am still a product of what I marinate in.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
seeing the older white father figure, the
Hmm.
paternal figure, feeling that kind of broke me. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, because he looks like my grandpa. you know
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 100% too. Yeah. And it is like, it's amazing. It's like, I mean, we're both ladies that used to have every hair color and haircut
Mm.
under the rainbow. And like, I definitely have felt a pull in the last 5 or 6 years. I normied up my hair and my haircut because I was just like, I feel like I'm more effective if I like am not presenting as a blue hair. Um,
Mm. Yeah,
um,
like him.
yeah, exactly. Let me like blend in a little bit because then I get invited into some conversations that you wouldn't necessarily have invited me into otherwise.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just normal everyday people, and I think it's just such an important reminder that like that's actually in all of us, and it's this is in times of like great strife or like when people do band together and there are mechanisms for which to do that. I think sometimes so much people like we're obviously not taught about unions or like the history of the left in this country by any real way, and then it gets actual victories, like that's all so stripped away and you have to really go looking for it to like understand. But people are, so I think it's just trying to like educate people to be like these mechanisms do exist and they've gotten us the 40-hour work week and vacation time
Mhm.
and all of these things, and like they did not want you to know about them. This is how we protect each other. It's a long
Yeah.
tradition that you're now a part of.
And there's even, when we think about the history of labor and how unions should operate, there's lots of schools of thought in how things should be done. There are some unions that we call a more industrial union that believe the focus is on bread and butter issues of health benefits, pay, and that's it. And, I believe we're evolving into more social justice unionism where we realize everything is intersectional and communities revolve around their workplaces, and that is like one of the few third places we have to like know people that are outside our families, and really organize as a community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we had like the on January 23rd, there was the Minneapolis, or the Twin Cities specifically, had like their general strike as a city, and it seemed extremely effective. I know from pictures and video there was signs of businesses just being like, "We will be closed, so get whatever you need." We're like it shut the city down for a day. Have you
Mhm.
seen any like what the reactions to like that were?
In the community, it was a lot of people were really happy specific places were closing. It was kind of like a mark of dignity with the
Hmm.
rest of the community, right? Like, oh, they're closing, good, good. Oh, they're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
closing. Yeah, I figured. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. And I know it was interesting because then we had kind of a national general strike that happened like a week or so later. It just happened this past weekend when we're recording. And I think it was an interesting conversation, at least here in LA, because a lot of businesses were like, I can't afford to close, but I also like will take cash only. My workers can decide what they want to do. Like we had one boutique near us that was like, I'm making t-shirts for Sherla that you can buy those that day, and you can like come screen print on like fuck ice stuff, like it
Mhm.
it like, because I think a true general strike does like require some planning over time, and I think also specifically the inclusion of like mutual aid as a mechanism to be able to take care of people that can't actually don't have the funds to be able to just be like, I'm not going to work for a minute.
Oh, absolutely. My fiance and I were just talking because he does union work as well.
Mhm.
And it's surprising to us how everyone thinks the strike just happens
Yeah.
because so much is on the line. Your livelihood, your health insurance. You need to know that you're supported, and you need to know that there is a plan, because sometimes employers will be petty and they will pull their health insurance coverage for that day and make the employees pay the premiums, or whatever
Mm.
costs the employer had previously covered. So there's a lot of financial cost for people, and it is a scary action to take, and if you don't have someone backing you up, it's incredibly intimidating. Like the day before the strike in Minneapolis or St. Paul, the superintendent actually sent out an email to say, like, we are expecting you at work tomorrow,
Mm.
and that
Yeah.
temporarily shook some people, but they came on back. And there's
Yeah.
always going to be this like tug of war with your employer when you're threatening a workplace action like that.
Hmm. God, and that's like, what is, I mean, I guess like he thinks like it's his job to keep the school system running, but like at what point are
Mhm.
you like, hey, dude, is administration not part of the teachers' unions usually? Is that its
They
own?
are not. But
Mhm.
I have found, I've been on staff for the teachers union for about 8 years now. I have found they are more likely to be more collaborative than your more like private sector
Mm.
employers. And perhaps it is a moment where they're facing extreme pressure from this federal administration, which can also be tied to funding.
Hmm.
So it might have been a little of, we're covering our butts here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just like, hey, I need to like pretend like I'm trying or something
Yeah,
here.
the boss has a role to play.
Yeah, yeah. Can you talk more about the like I do want to like I want to talk more about like the mutual aid and like the support that people have been able to provide each other, especially in these moments, because I feel like um that is a part that relieves so much of the fear, I think, around all of this stuff.
Hmm.
Like what people have been able to like, what mechanisms should be in place to like provide the space to generally strike or to like take off of work to help out in these ways.
Yeah. So basically, what I've seen is that, your city is going to be cut into turf, which has specific regions, which all have point people. So we're essentially creating this like tree of communication. And the mutual aid plays into that because parents, the parent lead for each site, are in charge of working with other high needs, vulnerable parents. So that list is never given to school staff.
Mhm.
Um, so they're working in tandem. The district has a GoFundMe where they're collecting funds from really all over the country, and that is funneled to, to the food bank, to parents in need, families in need, basically. And then what we've also seen is like community organizations stepping up and collecting those funds and distributing them through whether it be actual food or gift cards, things like that. Um, I am really disheartened to hear that ICE has been following around white people with grocery bags. Like,
Jesus.
so there is a high amount of surveillance on those
Yeah.
people to watch them to see where they're going,
Hmm.
which is just disgusting. They're
Yeah.
bringing food to families, clean clothes to families,
Yeah.
and they're watching. So the communications are highly protected for that
Mhm.
reason.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And just like just a very blanket, also big reminder of just like, oh yeah, this is not their intended goal whatsoever. They're like actively terrorizing people, everybody
Yeah, yeah,
at this point.
absolutely.
So it's just complete bullshit. So mutual aid, I think for those that aren't necessarily as well versed in those terms, can you explain like how that is different from what like nonprofits do? I think Kristen's face just lit up when I asked that question.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is the intent. We have a lot of nonprofits that are meaning, but they like really couch themselves in these neoliberal ideas of this is the economic system we are living in. We just have to figure out how to make it work and tweak it a little bit. And, if we get a couple grants, everything will be fixed,
Hmm.
where I believe mutual aid is more understanding of structural root problems and that the system we have right now is not benefiting us and it's never going to benefit us.
Yeah.
It's intentional in its design. And nonprofits don't have an interest in solving the problem because if they solve the problem, they don't have any more grants for their organization to run.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's the main difference with mutual aid. Mutual aid is based in respect and dignity, whereas a lot of nonprofit work is based in
Oh,
martyrdom.
very, very much so. Yeah. We saw so much of that in Los Angeles that like it made me crazy. Very specifically, and I've never watched any of the Real Housewives shows, but there's some Real Housewife from New York that has a nonprofit that they were on the news. They were apparently they show up at all the fire sites and they put in a warehouse and they put together these like little boutique packages to give to everybody. And like all of her presentations were like, we're not just giving you clothes from a pile. We're giving you like I mean,
Ooh,
I like went after this company on Facebook 'cause during the fires because I was like stuck in the desert, not being able to come back and breathe, and I was just angrily yelling at a housewife, with just like needing to be at the front and center of like, oh my gosh, we're making sure that people have their labubus or whatever the fuck it is that she was collecting,
yeah.
versus like the people in so many people in the city, and I will say in specifically Los Angeles, the people that spearheaded and ran, especially on the east side, all of the mutual aid were mostly Latinos that were like that have like their worker centers and stuff out here, and we use those as hubs that everybody
Hmm.
was dropping stuff off at. They were highly organized, and they saved a lot of people in the city, and they were not on the news. They were not featured, and I think it's to me that was such a naked like comparison of the two things to me, that it was like we don't need like a receipt, we don't need to have you in a list. If you need this, just come fucking take some diapers, like done. Why do we need to now be like, but you can we have a picture of you with the diapers and the founder together, please?
Yeah, no mutual aid photo
No.
ops.
No, that is not what it's about, and I think it is, yeah.
That's Oh, that's what I love about mutual aid is the idea of we are equals and I'm doing this for you because you might need to do it for me
Yeah,
someday.
absolutely. For people that like are listening who um this like hopefully hasn't come to their city yet, but who knows how far this is going to be expanding. Like, they're watching, they're listening. Are there any like texts or things to watch or like to clue into to like educate themselves on any of this that you would recommend?
Yeah, actually, I was just part of a national call that was really great. It was, under the No Kings header, but it was the president of Endelon, the National Day Labor Organizing Network, and Detention Watch, and the ACLU giving information on, how to be an observer. And then, as always, I'm going to plug the Emergency Workplace Organizing Committee. They're just a beautiful resource on how to organize in your workplace. And I would say, this is the type of work that you want to look to people in your community who have been doing this
Yes.
already. Um, I think as white people, sometimes we have a good hearted inclination to jump in and start doing things all by ourselves.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
there's other people that have been doing the work for decades that we can build on and we can plug into in a really meaningful way.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like this is like our place to lead to just like not lead and just be like, how can I plug in and like use my whiteness, use my privilege to shield something and to help this cause, Like, I mean, your presence might
Absolutely.
make somebody more that's been more skittish like feel like they can come in and help until they feel more comfortable or whatever. You never know. And I mean, I do think you know, obviously, like you left the day before Renee Good was assassinated. Is that when you were in, or you left right before Alex Preddy? I forget exactly when you were,
Yeah.
but between
Yeah.
which horrible thing, were you there?
Yeah. The second
Yeah,
horrible thing. Mhm.
yeah. And I think like it's a reminder that like putting yourself on the line can have consequences, but also just like that. Where do you stand? Like, how are you what do you truly believe? And also like there like we've talked about, there are so many different places at different points to plug yourself in, and I think it is like a reminder that this is coming for all of us if you believe that it is bad regardless. And it's scary, but also there is a higher purpose here, I think, too.
Alex Preddy and I actually went to the same high school here in
Oh
Green Bay,
wow.
which, yeah, I was really happy to see a large response from Green Bay residents,
Yeah.
going out to support him and calling for accountability in this murder. And I'm really happy to hear more people saying just flat out abolish
Yes.
ICE. Like it's not about having no masks or filling out the right
No.
paperwork after they murder
Hmm.
someone. It's about getting rid of the whole agency. Um, but I think the thing that moved me most about Preddy in watching that footage from the woman in the pink coat, where we see Preddy is trying to help someone who has been shoved to the ground by ICE. There isn't a person in my life that I love that would not have done the
Yeah,
same thing. So,
absolutely. We should all see ourselves in that. If you're like my reaction would be like, oh shit, let me help this person up. If I see anybody
yeah,
fall, my reaction is like, let me help this person up. It's and for that to be the thing that, led to his death is just such a naked just allegory for everything that we're dealing with right now. It's like they're
mm-hmm.
going after anybody that is helping and believes in humanity. And that's just where we're at. And so
Absolutely.
you aren't protected if you care about other people. And if you don't really care about other people, although you're not listening to this if you feel that way, it would be wild if you are. Be like, damn.
Might be. Sometimes people just love to
Yeah,
hate,
that's true. That's true. Disassociation Vacation. Buy the album if you've been listening and you fucking hate this shit. Fuck you. Give us your money. Give us your money. That's how that works.
If you hate this, you'll hate my
Yeah,
comedy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go buy it so you can hate even more. That's how I feel.
for people who want to be involved, I would say go to a training and then keep saying yes. A good organizer will continue to ask you to do things, and you just got to get plugged in.
Absolutely. And it's the more people that are able to step in and help. And that doesn't mean that you need to like do this full time or anything. Like if you only have like a couple of hours once a week, like that is necessary time that people will happily use. So, I mean, like I've done like some Home Depot patrolling out here for like 2 or 3 hours, like once a week or something like that. There's always, they can plug you in anywhere that's needed. Basically, it's easy enough to do. And you will make a big difference, and you will feel part of something bigger, and it will, is your scary times, and that will make you feel like you're actually able to do something. I think so much of this is like trying to, put you into a place of paralysis, which is where the fear really sets in, and that makes you feel alone and like you're helpless. And you were not helpless. You were able to tap into your community, and we are larger, and more people feel this way than anything else. So, I believe in you. Kristin believes in you, the listener. I promise you got this, man. Come on, get out there and get involved. And yeah, that's it for now. Kristin, where can everybody? You post great resources and stuff online. I know you just listed a few places. Is there anywhere else that you want to plug for people to check you out or check out like some work or like different resources?
Yeah, for my comedy, you can go to KristinLytie.com. That has all my dates and some clips. And then, Instagram, I'm always sharing things from different organizations. I would say Somali Snaps is a fabulous Instagram to follow for things happening on the ground in the Twin Cities.
Amazing. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, this is a special episode. And, perhaps we'll have more. When ICE is abolished, I'll have you back and we can do a victory lap. And I fully believe in that, because it's ICE is a Zoomer. No one ever talks about this. ICE was born in 2001, right? It's like ICE is a post 9/11 little baby organization. It can go.
Well, and the thing I think most people are waking up to is the enormous amount of funds put in their budget that could be going to schools, to housing, to healthcare. Yeah. Like we could have so many beautiful things if we weren't funding this terrorist organization.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. We will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.